It's Saturday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I hope you're having a good start to your weekend. I am Veronica Dan Ikboy. I'm not here alone. I have my beautiful co-hosts here. We have joining us in the studio this morning, Mary Alimi, Bashwa Alimi. Good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning, Veronica. It's so good to
you
be
made
here.
It. Yeah.
Literally. Barely more like.
Toby, it's good to see you again this morning.
So good to be here.
I hope you ladies are having a great start to your weekend. Let me begin with you, Mary.
Well, it's been quite a start. My baby is in the hospital, so I literally ran here from there. But of course, one has to do what one has to do.
Right.
But besides that, yes, it's been a slow weekend. From here, I'm still going on radio this morning, so
yes,
yeah, it's going to pick up.
It's quite
soon.
a heavy one for you
Yes,
this morning. But
yeah.
your baby, I hope there's someone with him in the hospital.
Yes, yes, his dad is.
Right,
Yeah.
He'll get better, definitely.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank
Toby,
you.
how's your weekend?
My weekend
Going?
was, well, my weekend is going fine. The week
Right,
was
you are
busy.
here.
I was trying to get well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but I'm better today.
I'm
Right,
sorry.
You can see that.
Sorry.
Well, it's getting off to a great start for the weekend for me. After now, I have to go house hunting again.
What happened to your previous apartment?
Offline.
Sometimes the
really?
time you spend gets over and you have to move on to something else or somewhere else. And that's what the situation is. And so
But with the cost of housing in Lagos
you
now,
can't say that again.
especially when they see your face, they'll be like, this auntie get money.
That's been the story, but you know, it's crazy when you hear stories of persons going house hunting. You see a lot. I saw a video yesterday where the lady put up a video of a house she went to somewhere, and she called the amount. When you look at the situation with the house, and you look at the amount,
It doesn't match.
It doesn't match. There's this huge disparity, and when you look at the comments underneath, you know, that video, it was how the state government can come in to look at how prices of houses is skyrocketing, and if the government can step in to address that matter, because it is not friendly at all. We had that conversation this morning, and a lot of people are not finding it easy, especially where you see a family of maybe 5, 3 have to pay house rent, school fees, and all of these pressures, yet, you know, it's just a lot for a lot of persons right now.
That is so true.
All right, we will go on a break. When we return, we'll bring you the newspaper review. To stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Right, thank you for staying with us. Let's quickly head straight to the papers now, and I begin with the Nation newspaper. The major story here: National Assembly, why APC settled for Akpabio Abbas by Shettima, that's the Vice President-elect speaking, says rancorous National Assembly will hurt Nigeria. Vice President-elect pledges to reach out to aggrieved speaker aspirants in meeting with Abbas, Kalu, others. And then you find another story here. Confusion trails Emefiele's alleged application for study leave. Stop comparing my government with Fayemis, Oyebanji tells Ekiti people. Ahead May the 29th, Buhari relocates to Glass House. Presidency movement normal for outgoing president. And then I must be president of Nigeria. Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi insists. And then another story here says, Labour Party crisis deepens as court affirms a Papak chair. And some of the stories here. Now, who has what story? Do you have?
I have it, yes. I have a story on page 2,
Okay.
which says that the Archbishop of Canterbury fined £500 for speeding in London. And it's so funny because I mean, just coming from the King's coronation last week, and they were saying this in the papers. But one thing that intrigues me is the fact that this is a sane climb where even the people that seemingly have power, you know, are fined. And everybody knows about it.
Nobody is above the law.
Nobody is above the law. And I think that it's a lesson we must take with us as Nigerians to say that, I mean, or I'm just thinking in my head, when would Nigeria actually become this kind of state where, you know, people in positions of authority are being brought to book or being held accountable to the things, you know, that they do, and we're not just living a lawless, you know, country. And it says, the story goes on to say that it was convicted of speeding. And so in regular Nigeria, I'd be like, Kilo, what's there? Is it not speeding? Well, speeding, juicy. Yeah. But he was convicted of speeding. And the 67-year-old was handed 3 penalty points after being caught by a speed camera in his Volkswagen Golf and then he gives us the address. And I just looked and said, Nigeria, when?
We'll get there.
Juicy.
We are getting there.
Yes, so.
Obviously, for someone who wields that kind of influence as the Archbishop of Canterbury, some would feel that, okay, they would just be a wave of the hand and then allow him go. But then the law had to take its course. Lessons for us, actually.
Yes.
Then this other story, talking about the National Assembly, why the APC settled for Akpabio Abbas by the Vice President-elect. That's Kashim Shettima was speaking. We know that after weeks of lobbying and all of it, they came up with their zoning formula over the week. And that generated a lot of reactions coming from some caucus. The North Central, visibly not represented in the zoning, were actually voicing their anger. They didn't hide it at all. And they have even gone ahead to say that we will not be loyal, considering the kind of what we did for the party during the elections. And so the Vice President-elect, Kashim Shettima, had to speak that, you see, this formula we came up with is for the interest of the nation, especially looking at faith balancing. Remember that, or recall that leading up to the election, there were talks about Muslim tickets and all of that, and that the first person, the second person, the third person, the fourth person can't be Muslims. So there has to be some level of balancing such that everybody is carried along. Because of those that are agitating are still Muslims as it stands. But I hope that they will understand the voice of reason moving forward. The party is still going to meet with some of these stakeholders and consult appropriately and let them know where the party is headed.
Okay, I really hope that gets resolved because we know how these things can really escalate. There were also reports of certain factions, especially parties that joined, that were all interested.
Opposition parties.
Yes,
they broke ACN and all of it.
So they were like,
they were going to stand
have
alone.
A stake, yes.
All right, we'll see how they resolve all of these matters in the coming days. So let's quickly move on now.
Before we move on, I have a
story
in the Nation newspaper. It says telecom operators to disconnect banks over 120 billion naira USSD debt. Now, first off, Nigerians need to be aware that very soon they may not be able to use their USSD anymore. Because from all indications, the NCC has given banks the go-ahead to disconnect the network providers from their platforms. As it is, the mobile network operators would disconnect if they fail to pay the debt. It was actually about 48 billion naira. Just in 2021, but now it's 120 billion and it's still climbing, so to speak. So as it is from here, it says members of the public would recall that the mobile network operators and banks had protracted disagreements concerning the appropriate USSD pricing model, which was what informed the introduction of 6 naira, I think 6 naira 90 kobo each time you try to use the USSD, because there was an issue with pricing. It was initially free, and later the charges were infused and all. So as it is, due to the inability of the MNOs and banks to reach an agreement, the MNOs in 2021 initially sought to disconnect banks, but the NCC waded into it. Then it was just ahead, it was 42 billion. But now that is 120 billion.
That's a lot.
And the banks are like, we are not going to pay the money. Or there's still that, should we pay, should we not pay?
It goes to show that
the mobile network operators
what was
out.
the initial agreement in the first place?
Well, there was an agreement. According to what I have here, it says that the contract between the MNOs and banks on the use of USSDs for banking transactions was strictly commercial, and the mobile network operators were at liberty to withdraw the services if the transaction was unprofitable to them. So they are in the right to decide that, you know what, we are cancelling this contract. My concern, though, is even when you cancel the contract, are you going to get the refund?
That's it.
As in the 120 billion, or will it be a case of...
So if there is an agreement, yes, they can take the banks to court, because there was an initial agreement. That's what they have to put before the courts to address and get their monies out of the banks.
Well, that's a story that is unfolding.
And if we have to settle on mobile apps, people in the rural areas may not...
Because the USSD was a lot easier for many of them, because they didn't quite know how to use the apps. So
Android devices are not, you could just use it.
POS operators to the rescue again.
We need to quickly go on a commercial break. When we return, we'll continue with the newspaper review. Do stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. You're still watching the weekend edition of Your View, and our co-hosts are still in the studio. Right, we're looking through the papers, and right now I'm moving to Saturday Punch. The major story here, Buhari changes residence, aides move out belongings from villa. Some riders here says, we won't wait for security officials' harassment before parking. The president's aide is speaking. Villa Clinic relocated to 21 billion naira presidential suite. Tinubu to decide new furniture. Some other story here. Friend advised me to poison my son. Mother of boy with cerebral palsy speaking. And I am in no hurry to become president, says Obi, as the Labour Party presidential candidate. A National Assembly leadership aggrieved APC aspirants meet sponsor candidates against Akpabio others. A developing story there. Ekweremadu's influence wouldn't have counted if tried in Nigeria, Justice Taiwo speaking. Toby, I see you have a story here.
Yes, I have the story on page 24, which reads, the friend advised me to poison my son. Mother of
boy with cerebral palsy.
This story, upon reading it, was very, very emotional for me, because, I mean, this cerebral palsy thing seems to be sometimes avoidable. So from the story of this woman, she says, when I gave birth to him, the hospital where I delivered him didn't do the normal jaundice test, which was an essential test for babies. You see, so the jaundice test and a few other basic tests, I sometimes wonder why hospitals still neglect those things. I mean, even in this 21st century, especially. I mean, so even some of my friends that have had babies, I'd gone to maybe the hospital, and I'm like, did they put your child under light, the light therapy, once you have it? And they're like, no, they said when the baby is 24 hours old or something like that. I'm like, these things are just the very basic things, because after 24 hours...
Does the hospital have the facility?
Yes. So I tell people that just when you're making inquiries to get a hospital to use, please ask these questions. Okay, what's the process like? After I give birth, what are you supposed to do? Because sometimes these hospitals may be overwhelmed. And look at this woman now, having to deal with, you know, something that could have been avoided. So sometimes it's better if a mother or a father, in some cases, can take up the responsibility to know the things to do immediately after their child is born. Do you see? So this story was very, very sad for me, knowing fully well that this woman has 4 children, but only this child has cerebral palsy. And then she got an advice from a child, from a friend, to say that poison this child. I beg, at least you have other children. So my heart reaches out to parents that have children with cerebral palsy at this time. You're doing a great job, and I really reach out to you. Thank you.
It's not easy dealing with a child with disability, no matter how tiny it might be. It is very, very difficult. Dealing with a regular child is a handful. Talk less of having to nurse a child for the rest of the child's life. It can be overwhelming. So I actually, yes, I'm actually going to anchor what you said about my heart and my love going to parents who are going through this. It is not easy.
It is not
As for hospitals, there's a need to take more responsibility. You'll be surprised. For many parents, because, like you said, they had 4 children, the first 3 were seamless, probably the same hospital. They did not expect that there will be negligence the 4th time. And then there could be a number of things. Maybe a nurse or a medical officer going through a bad day and foolishly does that. There are so many factors. Yes, you're going through a bad day and then you're like, the child looks okay, put the child here. The first thing to do when the child has been born is to even put there's a way they put the child under a light.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before even they're testing or anything.
Exactly.
Then they will put the child beside the mom after everything. But by the time the test proves that this child needs it, then you transfer the child back to the light again. That's the way I know it's done normally.
But some hospitals say they don't have the light.
How can you not have light and you call yourself a maternity center? You're taking delivery and you do not have the light.
The challenge.
You don't transfer the baby to another hospital.
That's the challenge. If we have regulations, some hospitals should be shut down.
Really?
Yes, some hospitals should be shut down. They do not have some basic facilities.
There's clinic. There's a reason why some places are called clinic. But you want to hear hospital. People don't know the responsibility between hospital and clinic. There's a difference. There's a reason why this one is called clinic. Is to attend to basic things, paracetamol treatments. But when it comes to serious things, you need specialists, you have hospital, everybody has what they do. You call yourself a hospital, you get approval, but you don't get the basic things that are needed. Putting people's lives at bay. Now look at this handsome young man having to deal with this for the rest of his life.
So please, parents, reach out to your hospitals, find out the equipment that they have, please, to avoid things like this.
It's unfortunate.
Yes.
It really is.
It's really unfortunate. And our heart goes out to these parents who are going through all of this. But one quick story before we move on to another newspaper is an inside story that the World Bank is warning Nigeria and 7 other countries of famine. That famine looms. The World Bank is saying that Nigeria, as well as some other 7 countries, Afghanistan, Burkina Faso, Haiti, Somalia, South Sudan, and Yemen, are experiencing catastrophic levels of food insecurity, and that could indicate the threat of farming. And the bank is saying that this is saying that Nigeria has to do a lot with regards to addressing this matter, considering our population. This matter of food insecurity has been going on and on with the level of insecurity in the country, where a lot of farmers cannot go to the farm. And then we also have climate change and all of it. The flooding we saw that happened last year, where farms were practically drowned by the floods. So all of these factors, the World Health is coming out to warn Nigeria to begin to look at doing something to addressing that, because if you have over 200 million Nigerians and a number of them are facing famine, that's not.
You know what I find painful? When you now go to the markets and you see food wasting.
Food waste.
They are hungry people, but you see food wasting. I do not know the logic behind that too. I wanted to quickly touch on something in the Punch newspaper.
All right,
fines. NBC says they haven't seen the restriction order from the fines. Now, according to the NBC, until they see the order before they can actually take charge, that yes, there's a restriction. And they also said if they do, they would appeal the order.
I was expecting.
So we are all watching, because when that happened, many broadcasters were like,
someone is actually testing the law,
sipping their tea and saying, you wish, huh? You wish.
Let's go to Saturday Tribune now. The major story here: North demands Senate presidency. Other key posts, says it contributed 63% of total votes for Tinubu. Threatens to withdraw support for APC if demands are not met. And another story here: I became handicapped at 12. Today at 59, I have no wife, no children. A really sad story there. Buhari Oyinlola congratulate Governor Adeleke on his 63rd birthday. 8 killed, 7 injured in Bauchi Road accident. Many Nigerians coming down with kidney disease. Experts cry out. Reps leadership, G7 aspirants opt for consensus candidate to run against APC's Abbas Kalu. Who has what story here?
I do.
Okay.
Right.
The Buhari Oyinlola congratulates Governor Adeleke on his 63rd birthday.
Okay.
This is like some double celebration for
him, right?
For him, yes. Knowing fully well that the Supreme Court just affirmed his gubernatorial mandate.
Yeah.
And I have some special, I mean, I'm from Oshu State, right?
Oh, right. Now I understand.
I call him the dancing governor. He has some form of joy that he exudes somehow. And even if you're watching his videos, you're just in awe of, you know, his personality. So this is me saying happy birthday to him, happy birthday, and congratulations on his recent win.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, and then I also wanted to touch on the story of many Nigerians coming down with kidney disease, coming from experts who lament lack of access to dialysis as well as kidney transplants for common Nigerians. This, from the first line, you could tell that it was as a result of the Ekweremadu incidents and how when you come down to Nigeria, it does seem like so many people are suffering from kidney diseases. They are not getting help. We've known of celebrities who had to get help, and even recently one who revealed that his wife was the one who donated a kidney for him. And so the cost is crazy. We must admit that getting a kidney transplant, and even before that, the dialysis, it's an expensive venture. Yet, how many people can afford it?
Even beyond kidney transplants, out-of-pocket treatment
for
in
most
Nigeria.
things, yes.
For most things, it's quite expensive.
Yes.
So we have to look at that. That is why they're talking about health insurance and all of it. But how many people are under the cover of health insurance, and how far can that even take them?
I learned that in Lagos State, it is now compulsory to be under one form of health insurance or the other. So perhaps people might want to take advantage of that. Health insurance, people do not know the advantage. You pay a fraction and you get something larger in return. And the reason you're able to do that is not rocket science. It's just because they know that for every 100 people that pay, maybe 2 or 3 would require that much services. So the money from others are also funding yours. So please, let's try as much as possible.
Like National Health Insurance Scheme
is important.
in next to nothing.
All right, quickly before we leave the Saturday Sun, I have this story. 2023 polls, 24 deaths, 238 cases of violence recorded. Kimpact Development Initiative is reporting. It's a post-mortem of the election, and it says that 98 of the total reported cases, that's 24 deaths, 238 cases of violence, happened in February, while 140 were in March, just to give a post-mortem of what happened. Then the final paper we have here is Saturday.
Can I touch on the Daily Sun before you move on, though? Okay. I just want to mention something I saw, a special report on youth taking to gambling to survive the times. Even when you are very unlikely to win, there's still that thrill of, okay, let me even try my luck, which is what many youth call it. And so you see a lot of them spending so much money on lottos, on betting. And then when you're betting so much, at the end you're getting little. And then some fall into the traps of fixed betting. You pay a fortune for fixed betting. And then you see people using their school fees that their parents went through a lot to get, putting it in betting, and then they are dropping out of school because their parents are like, you're on your own. Where do you expect me to get a refund? Or people using their rents, looking for the imaginary funds that is going to come out from this. It's a scourge that is biting and sinking deeper. People are overlooking it, looking at like, is it not betting? But this is a scourge that is taking over. And it's taking over in a bad way because people don't know limits.
It's a sad one because they keep hoping that they will make money. People are looking for the easy way out.
Get rich quick.
To make money. That's why they keep spending so much without realizing it. And not achieving anything.
So most of these companies, it's set up as a kind of like, okay, side way to just, engage yourself, laugh, see if you can get a little extra. But instead of people betting responsibly, they're doing it
And
the
then
wrong
the
way.
question will be,
putting
what
in
is
so
betting
much.
responsible?
Possibly.
You put a limit. I believe that should be betting
So what's the
responsibly. You
limit?
should know that, okay, let's say your income is, say, 10,000 a month. You should never bet beyond 1,000 a month, for example.
Well, some people think that
else?
once you put in more money, you get more money or
You
something
get more
like
chances.
that.
What we're talking about.
Or more
There's
more
no
chances.
limits. Which chances?
Okay.
Which,
That's what they believe.
It's as easy as walking
If
on
your
the curb
chance
in
of
Nigeria
winning
and
is
getting bashed by a
increased,
car.
that's what they think. They feel that your chance of... Anyway, let's
You don't
go
want
to
to
the
do that
final
to yourself, please. You don't. Believe me.
Now, Saturday Vanguard, the major story here. North rows on APC, grant us National Assembly leadership or will withdraw support for party government. Says demand not negotiable as not in charge of executive judiciary. Tinubu may delay NAS proclamation over Akpabio Abbas. Then court jails 61-year-old cleric for impregnating 16-year-old.
Wow.
A really sad one. And then May the 29th, 5 Abuja residents asks court to stop Tinubu's swearing in, seeks restraining order against CJN. Telecoms operators disrupt banking services, withdraw USSD services to banks over 120 billion naira debt. All right. Insecurity, 1,230 killed, 658 abducted in 3 months. A report is saying this. Who has a story here? You don't have a story here?
I do not.
Okay, just let's perhaps just look at this matter of insecurity. Earlier, we mentioned the report of WHO talking about, I said WHO, World Bank, talking about a looming famine. And this is some of the reasons why we are seeing what is going on. 1,230 people killed in 3 months. And then we have 658 abducted in the same 3 months as a result of insecurity. And we recall that when this government came in, one of its key promises to Nigerians was to address the matter of insecurity.
Yes.
And,
that was the key one. Because we had issues with Boko Haram and the rest at the start.
Right, yes, we did. But it promised that they were going to address matter of insecurity, corruption, and the economy. These were the 3 key issues that they promised Nigeria. Unfortunately, we are still seeing the number of persons being reportedly killed and the numbers being abducted. But the president, you must give to him that he made some level of improvement with regards to equipment, buying equipment and all of this. They said, okay, let's change our security architecture. And he did that. Let's change the persons there. But that seemed to not have addressed the matter. We are still seeing what is going on. We do hope, Nigerians are hoping that the incoming administration will be able to address some of these issues as quickly as possible. That's much we can take with the newspaper review. We'll take a break. When we return, it will be our time for the hot topic. Stay with us.